right, congratulations, you made it through your first workout. Hope you're not too sore. Some of the things you can do to make sure that that soreness isn't too overwhelming, make sure that you are drinking a lot of water. So I'm talking 1 liter or 2 of water a day. Is going to make a big difference in flushing all of those waste products out of your muscles, especially when you get early on as you're getting some conditioning and things like that. That's going to help quite a bit. A little trick you can do is you squeeze a little bit of lemon into that water. That helps alkalize your system and get some of that stuff out of there. See what I have to work with. Another thing you want to do is make sure you're getting lots of protein. Cut down on the sugars because that's also going to affect how you're recovering as well. So good proteins, good fats, limit the sugars. We'll have a nutrition lecture coming up here quick that will help you out. So nice job. Next one's coming up.
All right. So at CrossFit we talk about the 10 general physical skills. We call them the being prepared for anything, I guess how we describe it. I'm not going to go into great length and give you definitions for each one because I'm assuming that you have a pretty good grasp of that. 4 of the skills that are organic or that you actually do in training, cardiorespiratory endurance will improve and get better through training. Stamina, also strength and flexibility are those key 4 things that will improve with training. When you start looking at stuff that you do to practice, that will get better with practice. That includes coming in and doing the workouts every day, skill work during warm-ups that we do. Those are those practice skills. Coordination, accuracy, agility, and balance. You will find that over the course of the next couple weeks, 2 months, that you are able to do lunges better, you don't lose your balance quite as often, you're a little bit quicker on your feet, things like that. When we start combining both the training and the practice together, we start developing power and speed, and this is where we actually start having a lot more fun. You become faster, you're more efficient, you start moving a little bit more weight, things like that. Wouldn't you agree? Mm-hmm. I think that's all I'm going to add.
Okay, this right here is a star chart. It's kind of a nerdy teacher thing, but it's something I like to have. And if we were to take, if you've ever seen these, you have 0 in the beginning and 10 on the outside. So if we were to take and put you on this chart and have each one of these as one of your abilities, your chart, depending on who you are and what type of activities you've been doing, might be something that looks like this. So if I were to put those together, we probably have a pretty odd shape. So the idea is to keep these strengths. So if you're a distance runner, you might have really, really great endurance. If you're a bodybuilder or a power lifter, you might have really, really good strength, but not very much endurance. The idea is to keep your strength, but take these weaknesses and move those out. So what that means is the workouts that you see that maybe you're dreading a little bit because you really don't like to run or you really don't like to lift heavy, those are the ones you really need to get to because those are your weaknesses and those are what we're going to bring up. So ideally, we're going to get an athlete who is good at all of those things, and that's how you become that well-rounded athlete.
Another thing I want to add to that too is when you actually start working on your weaknesses or the things that you're not so good at, it actually makes your strengths even that much better. So, not cherry picking workouts. You're probably also wondering about how you get results, how we log things around here. We are not a weight loss clinic. We do have a scale here, and we probably will start doing body fat measurements and stuff like that. But we have all of our athletes log their results. How long it took them to do the workout, how much weight they lifted, if they did the workout as prescribed or not prescribed. We believe if you walk through the door, if you put in the work that it takes here, you'll get the results that you want. Whether it be losing weight, gaining muscle, leaning up, things like that, or just building a great community of friends, it will happen here too. That's usually how we log results.
We believe that, and we've seen, it's proven, it's a process, that if we can increase your power and your speed, you look better in your underwear, you feel better about yourself, your clothes fit differently. All of those things that we really want to happen on their own. So we're going to worry about these numbers primarily, and all the rest of the really fun numbers will take care of themselves. So good job. We're going to go over squats and deadlift form in just a second here.
Hi everybody, we're back for some movements. We're going to start out with the air squat first. couple things I want to cover first. You already saw the video on midline stability. So anytime you do any air squat, deadlifts, even push-ups, anything like that, body rows, which we'll be going over later too, midline stability is the first and foremost, the most important thing. With footwork, with any squat or deadlift, we're going to go over two types of foot position. One is more of a jumper stance, where you can see John's feet are basically directly underneath of his hips. If he needs to jump straight up, he can get a lot of power jumping from there. The next position is more of getting our feet out into that nice squat stance. It's going to be about shoulder width apart, as you can tell right there, a little bit wider stance. His stance is not going to come way out here into this position right here. Bad position for midline stability, no power, anything like that. The air squat, a couple things I want you to keep in mind. We're going to come basically back into our nice squat stance right there. Couple key things. Head is always going to be neutral. Everything with the squat is going to be initiated with the hips. So with him, those are our hips right there. As you will find out when you first start squatting, it's going to be very common, very comfortable for you to come forward in this position here. We call this being very quad dominant. It happens a lot because we sit in chairs all the time. That's just the nature of the life that we live in right now. So trying to create new default movement patterns, we're going to start initiating the movements, moving our hips back into this position here. And as you watch John move back into the position here, watch his knees basically come right back up. When he goes down to the bottom of his squat, a couple things happen. His knees will track on the outside of his feet. They do not go up over his toes, which actually puts the knees in a really bad position. They track out on the outside of his feet right through here. Also, like in this position here, his shins are fairly perpendicular to the floor. Awesome job. Come back up. If his shins were not perpendicular to the floor, this is exactly what would happen. He comes way up on his toes, heels come off the floor, and his knees are way above his toes. Very, very bad position for knees and low back. Come back up. Another key thing that I want you to keep thinking about when you air squat is your chest. We call this the angry gorilla position. So when you come to the bottom of your squat, I should be able to read the front of your shirt. You tend to lose that if you don't have mobility through your hips, ankles, or sometimes your mid-back, or if you lose midline stability, that will also tend to happen, and it will look like a position like that. So what we usually have people do is come back down to the bottom of their squat, lift up on their big toes a little bit, shifts the individual back on their heels, and more into that angry gorilla position. When they come up from the air squat, we look for full hip extension, right through there. Back down and back up. This is your basic air squat. Awesome. Cool.
Okay, my turn. We're going to do the deadlift. With the deadlift, we're going to start in a jumper stance. So Darcy's going to get in her feet into a jumping stance. Good news is if you are a good air squatter, you're going to be a good deadlifter. So one of the key things we're going to do, go ahead and turn around for me for a sec, Darcy. What she's going to do is she wants to keep her shoulder blades locked down and back. Now she's not going to squeeze them together, but she's going to lock them back and down in that position. And your lat muscles, they start right about here and they end about there and they connect at the shoulder. If we can get those engaged, that's going to keep this spine nice and straight. And if you've ever seen bad deadlifting form, it's because that spine does not stay straight and we get this arched position. That's what we want to avoid. So by keeping those shoulders back throughout and keeping that midline stable, that's what's going to give us this nice, pretty deadlift that's going to be safe for your back and more efficient. We also want to make sure that that head stays neutral. Another thing that happens at the bottom of the deadlift is we see some neck arching up. That puts the cervical spine in a bad position. We don't want to do that either. So Darcy's going to start with her feet in jumper stance. Just like the air squat, she's going to engage from the top with her hips going back. Now, one of the differences between the air squat and the deadlift we're going to be picking something up off the floor. So actually the start position is going to be down here at the bottom, whereas your air squat position is at the top. But they're the same thing, we're just going in opposite. So I'm going to take Darcy through the deadlift, but we're going to be going from top down to start. So she's going to put her thumbs right here on her thighs. And then her hips are gonna go back until she gets her thumbs to the top of her knees. Now, if you take a look here, her shins are still fairly vertical, her back is nice and straight, and she's from there. Now, once her thumbs get to her knees, her torso angle is set. So she's not gonna bend over any farther. Now, all the movement is going to be in her hips and her knees. So she's gonna go to the top of her knees, okay, and now she's gonna drop herself down, and you can see this torso angle stays the same. So when she comes up, she's gonna come to the top of her knees, and now she stands all the way up. You can see at the top, she comes to full extension, so that hip is right in front of that shoulder, and that's that full extension. So if I videotape her, I should be able to watch it forward and backwards, and it's gonna look exactly the same. So go ahead and start at the bottom. Okay, so those hips go back, okay, and now she's gonna come up to the knee, stand up the rest of the way, and then she's gonna come right back down to the top of the knee, all the way through. And you can see her head is staying nice and neutral, that spine is straight, really good deadlift form. A little bit of practice, you'll get there too. See you in a little bit.